Well, good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is John Formella, Attorney General for the state of New Hampshire, and I'm joined up here with a number of folks from our office and also partners that we have collaborated with on this case. I'm not going to name every name, which I know is sometimes dangerous, but we're joined up here from our office by Senior Assistant Attorney General Ben Agati, who's the chief of our homicide unit, Senior Assistant Attorney General Chris Knowles, who's the chief of our cold case unit, Chris Elphick, Detective Sergeant from State Police Troop D, Detective Sergeant Mallory Littman from the New Hampshire State Police Cold Case Unit, Assistant Attorney General Rachel Harrington from our Cold Case Unit, Amy Cerullo, who's a Victim Witness Specialist from our Office of Victim Witness Assistance, and we have Senior Assistant Attorney General Jeff Strelzin with us as well. We've also got some other partners who I'll introduce in just a minute. Before I hand it over to my colleagues from DOJ, who you're going to hear primarily from today, as they're the ones who have been working day in and day out on this case, I just wanted to share a few thoughts about this case and the importance of working cold cases and bringing justice to victims, no matter how much time has passed. Today marks a major milestone in the Bear Brook investigation. But it's not just that investigation that we're marking today. We're marking a commitment to cold cases and working to solve unsolved homicides in this state. With the identification of Ria Rasmussen, we've now given the fourth victim in this case her name back. And that matters. It means a lot. Every life is important, every life is significant, and every person has dignity. So being able to give someone their name back after their life has been tragically stolen from them is meaningful, and it's just something small that we can do for victims. We can't bring them back, but we can restore some measure of dignity, and we hope at some point in these cases a measure of justice. This result is an example and a reflection of our commitment, again, to cold cases, but also New Hampshire's sustained investment in what is necessary to do cold case work the right way. Partnerships, science, and most importantly, people. What you're going to hear today from our investigators is a testament to what that type of investment makes possible. I want to just commend the unwavering dedication from our cold case unit, both at the New Hampshire Department of Justice and New Hampshire State Police, our forensic partners, and all of those around the country who played a role. And in that, I include those who have followed this case all over the nation and all over the world. Often people who follow these cases and call in with tips and are interested and post things, even online, they help us investigate these cases. They help us gather more information. And it really is a collaborative, sometimes nationwide, even worldwide effort to make breakthroughs in these cases. So I want to thank everyone for their interest and thank them for caring about these victims. Like I said, this case demonstrates the power of collaboration, from local and state investigators to national partners like the DNA Doe Project, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Bodie Technology Group, and others. And these partnerships are critical to solving these cases. We can't do this work alone. We have to partner, we have to collaborate, we have to bring every resource that we can to bear in order to make progress in these cases. I want to personally extend some thanks to our partners who are here today from the DNA Doe Project. Some have traveled great distances, even all the way from the UK. We have Jennifer Randolph, the Executive Director of Case Management and Operations at DNA Doe, Gina Fieri, an investigative genetic genealogist and team leader, Matthew Waterfield, investigative genetic genealogist and team leader, Rebecca Summerhalder, investigative genetic genealogist, Emily Bill, another investigative genetic genealogist, and Margaret Press, who's the co-founder of the DNA Doe Project. I think we sometimes too often reduce, or when we're talking about cold cases, we sometimes sort of reduce our conversations to a list and names on a list. But we have to remember that behind every person is a story. Behind every person is a network of family and friends and loved ones and a community that cares about them and a community that's impacted when they're tragically taken from us. This case reinforces the importance of remembering that and remembering why it's so important to put the investment and work into these cases. While today we've identified the 4 victims in the Bear Brook case, we're still seeking information about the disappearance of Pepper Reed, and we're asking the public and the media to help keep her name alive and to help us continue the efforts to find those answers. We're not going to stop until we find all of the answers, and this case only reinforces our commitment in New Hampshire to continue working on cold cases, to continue seeking answers and seeking justice for the families, the loved ones, and the communities that wait for it. And it doesn't matter how much time it takes. It doesn't matter if it requires one investigative team handing off the work to another down through the years and even through the decades. We're going to continue this work. Again, I want to thank everyone who's been involved in this case and who works on cold cases. And I want to thank all of you from the press for being here and covering this case, and the impact you have on helping us to gather information and get the story and the word out. It helps us in this work, so I want to thank you for being here and thank you for your help. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Senior Assistant Attorney General and Chief of our Cold Case Unit, Chris Knowles. Thank you.
Good morning. Again, my name is Chris Knowles. I'm the Senior Assistant Attorney General and Chief of the Cold Case Unit. And we've called this press briefing because we have obviously additional information on the Bear Brook murders. Today marks a pivotal moment for a case that's haunted New Hampshire as well as our nation for decades. With the identification of Rhea, all 4 victims of the Bear Brook murders have been identified. All of the victims that were found between 1985 and 2000 now have their names. And this moment is both solemn and significant. It's the accumulation of years, decades of investigative work across multiple agencies, forensic scientists, genealogists, and volunteers. Terry Rasmussen believed that he erased his victims from the face of the world. And we've shown that we've worked hard to restore those names and to give them some measure of justice. Rhea was just a child when she was murdered. She deserved to be known, and today we return her name to her. This identification doesn't close the book, however. It closes a chapter, and it's significant because we're giving her name back. But questions remain, especially around the fate of Rhea's mother, Pepper Reed, and the fate of Denise Beaudoin. But again, this is a vital chapter that has now been closed. So I'd now like to welcome Senior Assistant Attorney General Benjamin Agati, who's head of our homicide unit, to speak.
Thanks, Chris. When I first began working on this investigation about 10 years ago, we didn't have names. We had 4 victims of murder, and we were only able to release pictures of what we thought they looked like. We were able to release to you the radioisotope testing that had been done on their bones and teeth showing where they had been. But we didn't have technology like this. We didn't have the tools that eventually helped us reach this point. What we had was a team of investigators, of agencies and organizations that were working hard and filled with dedicated people trying to find the truth. Rhea's hair, we knew, was darker than others. We knew she had that little bit of an overbite. We knew she had a mother and a family, but now, of course, we know that she has a name. And the work done by the DNA Doe Project and others to bring us this far has been nothing short of extraordinary. And while investigators here and in other states do have more work to do, particularly understanding what happened to Rhea's mom, Pepper, and in finding Denise Beaudoin, we get today to pause just for a moment to honor Rhea and acknowledge her. Some of the colleagues from NHPR here in the room, you asked 7 years ago whether I still thought about this case after I left the cold case unit, and you asked whether I was frustrated that the victims remained unidentified. The answer was yes, I did, and yes, I was and stayed frustrated. But today, I and everybody in DOJ, State Police, DNA Doe Project, NCMEC, everybody are sharing the most beautiful and rare of days, because today we're no longer frustrated, but we can find ourselves, for once, just today, fulfilled. because today we have that name of Rhea, and it feels like a promise kept. It renews everybody up here to go on and continue to seek the truth in all of our investigations for each and every single one of our victims. And that is the profound moment that I'm happy to be able to share with you today.
I'd now like to welcome Detective Sergeant Christopher Elphick on behalf of State Police.
Morning, everyone. I've looked forward to this moment for a long time, long before we knew the identity of Pepper and Rhea. This case has involved thousands of hours of work by members of law enforcement community here in New Hampshire, as well as many others across the country. There have been times of frustration upon hitting dead ends and doubt that we would ever learn the identity of the last remaining Bear Brook victim. I consider myself fortunate to work with such a dedicated group of professionals, both from the law enforcement community, the DNA Doe Project, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who never gave up hope and continued to persevere and search for answers. Thanks to their efforts, Rhea will no longer be known only as the middle child. After more than 40 years, her family will have answers to the questions that they have sought for so long. Our work is not done. We will not stop until we have located the whereabouts of Rhea's mother, Pepper, as well as Denise Beaudoin, who are both suspected to be victims of Terry Rasmussen. We'll be working with authorities very closely in California to further the investigation into the whereabouts of Pepper Reed, who was last seen in California in the late 1970s. We will also continue to seek answers in the disappearance of Denise Beaudoin, last seen in New Hampshire in 1981. If you have any information, no matter how small it may seem, we urge you to come forward. After more than 4 decades, your piece of the puzzle could be the one that finally brings justice for Pepper Reed and Denise Beaudoin and provides long-needed answers. We're actively seeking information on the whereabouts and fate of Pepper Reed, last seen in California, late 1970s, the whereabouts and fate of Denise Beaudoin, last seen in Manchester, New Hampshire in 1981, Terry Rasmussen's movements from the mid-1970s to mid-1980s, particularly in California, New Hampshire, Texas, Arizona, Oregon, and Virginia. Anyone who may have known Pepper Reed or who may recall Terry Rasmussen under any of his aliases, including Bob Evans, Curtis Kimball, Gordon Jensen, Larry Vanner, and Gerald Mockerman. Our thoughts are with the many families nationwide that have been affected by the senseless acts of violence committed by Terry Rasmussen.
I'd now like to welcome Victim Witness Specialist Amy Cerullo with the Office of Victim Witness Assistance.
So this first statement is from the family of Pepper and Rhea. First and foremost, we want to express that Pepper is deeply loved and missed every single day. Though we did not have an opportunity to meet Rhea, she is cherished just as much in our hearts. Our family kindly asks for privacy as we grieve. Lastly, to Chris Elphick, Justin Rowe, Amy Cerullo, Chris Knowles, and the New Hampshire Police Department's DNA Doe Project, and the countless good-hearted people who have assisted in this investigation, we are forever grateful. Your relentless determination has brought our family together, and we cannot thank you all enough for keeping Rhea close in your hearts when our family could not. God bless you all. This second statement is from the paternal half-siblings of Rhea, Diane and Deb. So in light of recent events, the family of Rhea and Pepper are navigating a deeply traumatic and personal matter. We ask that everyone respect their request for privacy. We understand the public's interest, but request that all parties refrain from speculation, unwanted contact, or pursuing personal details. We would like to thank the media and public in advance for your understanding and cooperation.
And we'll now hear remarks from Jennifer Randolph with the DNA Doe Project.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Randolph, the Executive Director of Case Management and Operations with the DNA Doe Project. We are a nonprofit humanitarian organization that provides investigative genetic genealogy services to law enforcement on cases of unidentified human remains or Jane and John Does. We leveraged DNA science and the expertise of our volunteer genetic genealogists to restore identities to the unknown. We were honored to take on the case of Bear Brook Jane Doe in January of 2024. The first thing we did was to request a reevaluation of the DNA profile by bioinformatics expert Kevin Lord of Estrella Forensics. His work refined the profile, excuse me, which produced an updated list of DNA relative matches. Using this updated list, our team began the task of building a family tree for our little Jane Doe. The research was complicated by a lack of close DNA relative matches and a number of misattributed parentage events. As a result, the research team had to build many family trees back many generations in time to connect up these relative matches. They ultimately assembled a tree containing about 25,000 individuals. Eventually, they were able to identify a couple born in the 1780s as likely ancestors of Bear Brook Jane Doe, and tracing their descendants forward, they identified a family of interest. A 2005 obituary for one of the great-great-great-granddaughters of the couple stated that she was survived by a daughter named Pepper Reed. And further research indicated that Pepper had disappeared from the public records in the 1970s. Pepper was born in 1952 and was from Houston, Texas, where Terry Rasmussen was known to be living in the 1970s. The team then found additional connections between Pepper's ancestors in the unidentified girl's DNA relative matches, which confirmed that Pepper Reed had to be the mother of the little Jane Doe. Shortly after identifying Pepper Reed as the child's mother, the team found a 1976 birth record for a girl named Rhea Rasmussen in Orange County, California. There were hundreds of girls with the surname Rasmussen born in the late 1970s in California alone, but with the Reed connection now known, we were able to confirm that the birth certificate listed Pepper Reed and Terry Rasmussen as Rhea's parents. I'm very pleased to introduce to you again, very briefly, the talented team who worked for more than a year to resolve this case. Here to my right, we have primary team leader Matthew Waterfield from the United Kingdom, co-team leader Gina Fury from the state of Texas, investigative genetic genealogist Emily Bill from the state of California, and Rebecca Summerhalder from the state of Georgia, and most especially the co-founder of DNA Doe Project, Dr. Margaret Press from California. These are some of the best and most experienced investigative genetic genealogists in the world. It was an honor to work with the task force led by Detective Sergeant Chris Elphick and intelligence analyst Tracy Flaherty of the New Hampshire State Police, as well as Carol Schweitzer from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who has been a champion for this case for so long. This case has touched the hearts of so many, and we are proud to have had a part in the identification of Rhea Rasmussen.
Thank you. Assistant Attorney General Rachel Harrington with the Cold Case Unit will now be reading remarks on behalf of NCMEC.
Thank you. I will be reading a statement today from NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who were unable to be with us here today. At the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we were honored to assist New Hampshire State Police in this heartbreaking and difficult case. After 25 years, Rhea has finally been given her name back. This case is a powerful example of what can be accomplished when everyone works together and refuses to give up. Thank you.
I would now like to welcome Detective Sergeant Mallory Littman, Commander of the Cold Case Unit.
On behalf of the Cold Case Unit, the New Hampshire Department of Justice, and the New Hampshire State Police, we extend our deepest thanks to all who contributed to this identification. The DNA Doe Project NCMEC, Firebird Forensics, Estrella Forensics, the Bodie Technology Group, and the New Hampshire Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, and everyone who refused to let this case be forgotten. We are forever grateful. I'd like to personally thank Detective Sergeant Elphick and Intelligence Analyst Tracy Flaherty for their relentless efforts to identify Rhea. Before we close today, we want to be very clear. This investigation is not over. While all 4 victims of Bear Brook have now been identified, there are still unanswered questions. Questions we believe someone out there can help answer. As Detective Sergeant Elphick stated, if you have any information, no matter how small it may seem, we urge you to come forward. After more than 4 decades, your piece of the puzzle could be the one that finally brings justice for Pepper Reed and Denise Bowden, as well as provide long overdue answers we are searching for. You can contact the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit at 1-800-525-5555 or 603-271-2663, or by email at coldcaseunit@dos.nh.gov, or you can contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST, or their email, nicmictips@nicmic.org. Tips can be submitted anonymously. We will follow up even though decades have passed. We are still listening. We are still looking. We will not stop. This concludes our presentation. Thank you.
So we'll now take any questions. If you want to join me. Yeah.
Can I actually ask a question of the DNA project and then of Ben? It's a similar question though, so grab yourself. I just couldn't, I was so taken by your emotion. I mean, this may seem like a stupid question, but all of you were very emotional during the reading of the statement from Pepper's family. I know you've spent hours and hours, and you're having a hard time right now. Could you explain for all of us where that emotion comes from for this case specifically?
This case, every case we take on is important, and it's the most important case for the family of that doe. I think this case is particularly emotional for us, given that she's a young girl. This is the youngest doe that we've identified to date. And also because we were working so closely, meeting monthly, with the New Hampshire State Police and NCMEC. This team poured their heart and soul into this case. They really did. And so, yeah, it's obviously it meant a lot when we finally got there and knew her name. Yeah.
So what was that like for your team to finally like zoom in on one name?
It was a bit of a shock and, you know, just sort of surreal that for a short while we were the only ones on the planet who knew her name until we had a chance to connect with law enforcement. It's why we do this work, because we care so much about not only the individual getting their name back, but also the family who's been wondering what's happened for so long.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Ben, was I right that you were kind of tearing up earlier?
Oh, I'm a big softie, so yeah. I would agree in terms of it is emotional because you are dealing with a younger child, but also because for those who have worked this particular case, it's every investigator here, investigators that you don't see that are here, attorneys that are here, attorneys that you don't see that are not here today. For every single one, there's so many different cases that they work where despite years, decades of effort and the best science, the best work, you just never get there. And this is a case where we got there. And that's emotion. So.
Any other questions?
I don't know who would be best to answer this, but I would imagine an investigator said a long time ago that this case was a little unusual in terms of serial killers, that he was killing people he knew, and in this case, his own daughter. Like, did that make it even more important to find justice for, I mean, not that there's any kind of serial killer that's better than others, but is it even more heinous that he was killing his own daughter in this case?
So I'll take it and then I'll give you an opportunity. So I would say to that every case that we have, it matters, is important. It's the same thing we tell families. It's true for every case. Every case represents loss for not only the families that loved this person, but their friends, for the entirety of the community. So we handle each case, the homicide unit as well as the cold case unit, with the dignity and care that they each individually deserve.
And to speak to Terry Rasmussen killing victims that he knew, that certainly is unique, very unique. He had a type. He was going after vulnerable people, and it seemed that his plan was to alienate them from their family, so they were never reported missing. And he continued that pattern up until the year 2000 when he killed Eunsoon Jun in California.
What you were talking about there, some of the patterns that you've already been able to identify with these victims and now knowing their identity, does that help inform sort of the approach moving forward as you continue the investigation and looking at these other people as far as, location or sort of where they might be?
It certainly does. Terry Rasmussen has vast gaps in time that he's unaccounted for. We're still trying to put those pieces together. Every time we learn something new, it fills in a piece of that puzzle and fills in a gap of time. It'll hopefully direct us to where he was. And these large gaps in time, it's highly unlikely that he stopped doing what he was doing. He didn't go for 6, 8, 10 years without continuing to kill people when up until that it was a steady pattern. So as we continue, we just don't know what we're going to find. It's certainly possible we're going to make some more discoveries, not just about the whereabouts of Pepper Reed and Denise Bowden, but additional victims as well.
Any other questions? Sure.
I was just going to ask if there's been any accounting done to date about how much these investigations have cost, specifically to the state of New Hampshire.
Not to my knowledge. I think I speak for New Hampshire State Police and Department of Justice when you can't put a monetary amount on bringing closure to a case and being able to approach that family and give them some closure. But I can tell you, as far as man hours and team hours, not just from State Police DOJ, but also our partners, it's in the thousands. The amount of work that's been poured into this, especially by people that this isn't their job, this is just what they do because they think it's the right thing to do and they feel compelled to do so, like the volunteer folks at the DNA Doe Project.
Sir, you had a question?
Yeah. Obviously, genetic genealogy has played a really pivotal role in moving this case forward after so many years. As we think about Denise Bowden and Pepper Reed, those investigations, do we see genetic genealogy still being able to play a role in the investigation moving forward? Or is this moving to a place that's going to have to rely on a different type of, maybe more old-fashioned investigative work?
So investigators are using all tools in their arsenal to answer those questions and to bring justice to those individuals. We're also relying on the public, people who may have known Pepper Reed, may have known Denise Bowden or seen them. No piece of information is too small, and so contact the cold case unit. Ma'am?
So I just wanted to clarify if this is the first time that Pepper Reed was connected to Terry Rasmussen, and if there are tips between your disappearance in the 1970s to now that you're relying on while you're investigating the case.
This case was solved with the help of genetic genealogy and the DNA Doe Project. What ultimately led us to Pepper Reed and Rhea was the hard work done by the DNA Doe Project and putting those family trees together, countless hours. I think, Jen, what was it, 25,000 people approximately? To put it on a computer screen, you need about 6 computer screens to be able to see the whole thing, to be able to work down those. That's ultimately how we were led to Pepper Reed.
What more can you tell us about her? So far, you said the last time she was seen was the 1970s. We've, of course, seen the photos. Is there anything else you can tell us about her that might jog somebody's memory that's watching?
We're still working on gathering more information and putting some of the pieces together. As it becomes available, we may be able to share some of that. But obviously, we're going back many, many decades, so we're working on it.
You mentioned that there might be more victims involved. What's the sort of total confirmed number of victims so far associated with Terry Rasmussen?
So you have the four victims in Bear Brook. You have Denise Bowden, who's a suspected victim of Terry Rasmussen. You have Pepper Reed, who's a suspected victim of Terry Rasmussen. You have Eunsoon Jun in California. I think 7.
Any other questions?
Has the DNA genealogy research identified any other possible children of Terry Rasmussen living?
No, we have not yet.
Ma'am, you had a question? brutal acts, and the purpose of this presentation was to restore Rhea's name. And so we'd be happy to talk with you privately, though. Any other questions? All right, seeing no affirmative showing of hands, thank you all for being here. We're going to stick around if any of you want to approach us individually. Thank you.